Okay.
Sweet.
Is it fun, stupid?
It's the
Hopefully?
Ren Fair.
Oh, okay, that
Yeah.
is fun, stupid.
You're gonna show up in your Starfleet uniform and pretend that you're visiting a
No,
new.
because I'm not a fucking dork.
Oh, says the man going to a Renaissance festival.
Hey, man, they
I've
apparently have
never
really good
been.
food. Yeah, I've never been
I've
either.
Oh,
I'd
they're
never
love to
been.
go.
fun. Oh, dude, they're great.
So there's one in New York that's like it's about 3 hours away. So it'll be a Friday drive, Saturday attend, maybe Sunday attend as well kind of situation.
That'll be fun.
But they have tea with the Queen, and you can like have a tea service with the Queen, and you get to keep the fancy china that they give you too,
Oh, damn.
aka the cheap
Oh, nice.
shit that was bought on Costco.
Right.
Like, and it's like, okay, yeah, I'll probably do that. I just need to get my time off approved, which is a whole different fucking question, to be completely honest.
It's a whole different can of worms.
Yeah, I will say though, Nimp, you don't know about this because I forgot to send it to you, but I did send it to Boston. But there's a very important thing that happened this week for me on a personal level.
We've talked about it off show. A challenge that someone has been undertaking.
Yes. And I got basically it was like, hey, you could do this thing, but you need to do it at 10:45 a.m. on this specific date. So I went into work, and it's weekday, the time this thing is happening, and I filled out. The funny thing is, I filled out a vacation request like 2 months ago for the second week of July, like being like, look, I need a break. I need time off. I need fucking. I can't do this constantly. I need fucking vacation. I need to not be working 14 hours a day for fucking 6 months like I have been.
Yeah.
And my vacation request got denied.
Of course.
And I was like, can you do later? If you're not doing anything important, can you do later so that we can so that we can, make sure that this complicated process, goes through okay. And I was like, okay, that's fine. I'm not doing anything important. I just need some time off. So I pushed the vacation to the last week of July, and then this important date is in that week that I originally booked off.
Oh,
Nice.
So I came in with a new vacation request, and I handed it over, and I said, this date, just so you know, I specifically said this out loud to the people. I was like, something has come up. This date, I will not be here. Period. No ifs, no ands, no buts. If you approve this, if you unapprove this, no matter what happens, I will not be here on this date. You don't have a choice in the matter. It's an emergency. It's something I have to do. And I don't care what you say. I ain't going to be here on this date.
right.
5 minutes later, I had an approved time off request.
Nice.
And this is so, and I said to them, because this is me saying this. I've never not been flexible. I've never not been,
Right.
amenable to changing things around. I don't schedule like vacations until, I get the approved time off. I've never fucked anybody over. But this is
just
the
this
situation,
one
and you will fucking respect my goddamn request in this
Right.
case.
I ask so little.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I was like, yeah, cool. I get to have that day off now, and then instead have a panic attack for the entire week beforehand.
There you go.
Yep.
Always something.
All right. Are you guys ready
Oh,
to get started? Yes.
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 I'm going to a concert in September, which I'm sorry.
Oh,
but
you
I have
got
to
the
talk
tickets
about
we
this.
talked about? Yeah.
I did. While we were playing Repo, I was like, hey guys, I'm just going to be AFK for like 5 minutes here while I book these tickets, because I got YouTube pushed an ad to me, and it was like, hey, are you interested in this? And I was like, well, yes, I am interested
As
in
a matter
this
of fact,
concert.
for the
Thank
first
you very
time,
much."
I am.
Yeah.
You're telling me that Hailstorm are going to be nearby on tour, and they're touring with Lindsey Sterling. Yes, I am 100% interested in
And
this.
who's the third one?
Oh, and they're opened by Apocalyptica.
Uh-huh.
Fuck yes,
Oh, nice.
I am in for this.
Let's
And
do
it's
it.
like $100 a ticket, and it's like, yep, I'm
Yep.
fucking in,
That's not bad
100%.
either.
Nope. It was actually like $90, but like fucking
With all the
$11
fees and
fees for the
stupid
fucking
shit,
bullshit. Yeah.
Your convenience fees.
At least it wasn't like
Yep.
$90 more. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, are you guys ready to get started?
Yep.
Yep.
Okay. Let's get started in 3, 2, 1. Welcome back to a brand new episode of That Video Game Podcast, aka TVGP. I'm your Under the Weather host, Boston, joined as always by Moonpeer.
Hi, not under the weather for once. Just
and
tired.
the Nimp.
Hello.
I'm not going to do any of our normal intro where I'd usually talk about E1M1.cache.
The ones and numbers.
Because we're actually going to skip all of our releases. We sort of accidentally stumbled into a not E3 2025 episode this week. Started out with Sony State of Play, and I thought, yeah, we should probably talk about that. And then the Summer Game Fest, I thought, yeah, we should probably talk about the highlights of that. And then it turned into like 6 conferences. So we're going to talk about the highlights and, unfortunately, the lowlights of some of them. We're not going to beat up any individual games, but we will, in one case of the Summer Game Fest, beat up an individual CEO and remind everybody of our placement in the world and who we are allies with, and etc. So, okay, we're going to just get right into it. Let's start off with the June 2025 State of Play from Sony. Opened, surprisingly, with another one of them Lumines. We got Luminous Arise, which, I'm gonna be honest, I really didn't think we'd ever get another Luminous game. Especially not another, like, a brand new one.
Yeah, and from the people of Tetris Effect, so you know it's going to be an unholy amalgamation of lights and flashes. And
Yeah, and I if I remember correctly, I think basically the original creators of Lumines founded Enhanced Games, which is the Tetris Effect guys. So I think it's essentially the same people, which is pretty exciting. From a gameplay perspective, it really looks like Luminous. Has the kind of sweeping thing from left to right. Looks like there's some additional mechanics in there, but honestly, it's one of those things of like, cool, I don't care. I'm just gonna go play it. Like I don't really care what is brand new and flashy in here. I'm just gonna go check it out.
Chill beats to Tetris 2.
That's right. So I'm really curious to see when that's going to come out. I'm expecting at least one of us to talk about it during the show when it comes out.
Yeah, at some point.
Next game here is a game called Pragmata, which is a wild, like...
Dude, I've been so looking forward to this game.
Yeah, we haven't... I forgot that Capcom announced this forever ago. Now they're kind of showing some more gameplay. There's a very small blonde child with like very Tress Effects hair riding the shoulders of a large spaceman as they're doing like Capcom third-person shooting stuff.
He's your Yoda.
Very much so, yeah. I think this looks really interesting. I think I still have some questions about gameplay, but I think at least stylistically it looks really cool.
Hey, if the little blonde girl turns out to be Eve, I will be super happy.
She is AI, so...
There you go. So not a ton about this quite yet, but it's nice to see them come back with this and have like a bunch more stuff than before.
Yeah. They also updated the little note because they've had to do it. This note right here in the video, if you're watching the feed, they had a note saying it was going to be released in 2023. They had to update that note, and then they updated it here too, saying 2026.
Yeah,
you know,
no, it's for real.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it's real XD.
Yeah.
So.
Which, whatever. Take your time with your game.
Please.
Yeah, exactly. Next game up is the brand new game from Grasshopper Games, Suda51. Well, Romeo's a Dead Man? Man, I don't know.
This was crazy. Yeah.
I feel like it's a fool's errand to describe literally anything that Grasshopper and Suda is doing. It really looks like one of those games. In a way that I find myself having a hard time explaining what it is, other than it's a third-person action game, and it will probably be completely and unhinged bananas. So you should really go watch a trailer for that, because I have no idea what's going on. There was a short trailer for Bloodstained: The Scarlet Engagement, which looks to be a full sequel to Bloodstained, which is pretty interesting. Also, as a Kickstarter backer for the first game, it's a little bit of a bummer they didn't have any sort of announcement stuff on that, which feels like a missed opportunity. But I liked that first Bloodstained game. It was a fairly solid Metroidvania, so I'm really curious to see what they're going to do with this in kind of taking a second stab at it.
You may have heard me say this before, but I'm pretty sure I own the first game. I've just not played it.
It's solid. I don't know if it's like the best Metroidvania I've ever played, but it was a really solid like EGA Metroidvania. Like there was plenty of room for improvement, so I'm really curious to see what they're gonna do with the second one, because I think it could turn out pretty cool. The big announcement for me personally, Final Fantasy Tactics: The Ivalice Chronicles,
Yep.
which I will give Xbox a lot of credit for doing this during their conference that we'll talk about later. I wish Sony would do the same thing. This game is coming out for everything, not just PS4 and PS5.
Yeah.
I wish Sony was better about like it's actually coming out to a whole bunch of stuff. So this is a half remaster of Final Fantasy Tactics. The original 97 PS1 version of the game is in there, thankfully with the War of the Lions translation, so you don't have the battle of Fight Daisadarg's older brother. That's Ramza. And that translation was really good. But then they're gonna do a kind of revamped version. They unfortunately have the like pixel smoothing graphics, which is a real bummer. But they're doing a bunch of quality of life stuff. One of the biggest things they show in there was having in the original version with all the jobs, you just had like this big ring of jobs you could unlock. Now they have kind of a skill tree, like a tech tree of jobs of like level these 2 jobs up to level 5 and then it unlocks this one. Level that up to 10 unlocks this one. So that's really exciting. And I'm glad they're doing something with this game that isn't, hey, we're gonna mess it up, and all the improvements seem pretty solid so far. And I'm really pumped about this, and a little bummed that the collector's edition wasn't very good.
And it doesn't come with the game.
Well, it doesn't even come with like I don't even mind when collector's editions don't come with games, but I would at least like a cool like steelbook or something. So, and the statue in there was kind of crummy looking. So that's coming September 30th. I think it looks cool. I already pre-ordered it, so listen to the show at the end of the year for me talking about what the new version of that turns out to be. They quickly showed off a game called Hiragami, which is a cool looking like stop motion papercraft action game. This was shown off in I think almost every conference over this past week. So I think the art style here is really neat looking. I'm not sure how much of it kind of gameplay wise is super exciting, but it's neat to see like a papercraft sort of thing.
Yeah.
Overall. The Game Bakers has a new game here called Cairn, which is Game Bakers did Fury and Haven. They're making this kind of story-based mountain climbing thing that I think looks really interesting. They're I think from a gameplay perspective it looks pretty straightforward, but I'm hoping that kind of from a like an upgrade and story perspective that it turns out to be something neat. Will it be another Strand game? Let's hope. Next up, sort of shockingly, Digital Eclipse is making a Mortal Kombat collection, the Mortal Kombat Legacy collection, which I think is a really cool outlet for them.
Yeah,
To
and it's also like a chance for them to speak to the people who were responsible for it, as much as I hate to phrase it this way, before they die.
Yeah, exactly. That's been one of the best part about Digital Eclipse's stuff is like they're getting the stories from the mouths of the people that were there, and like here's the lady that played Sonya, let's interview her. Like here's Boone and Tobias, let's interview them a bunch. One of the coolest parts about this is they're including, as far as it looks like, every version of every game. So it's like the Game Boy version of Mortal Kombat 1 is in here, like the Game Boy Advance version of Mortal Kombat Ultimate is in there. Like that's the sort of stuff that I think you really want from a collection like this. So I think that's really cool, and it's gonna be cool to see what they come up with for that one. What do we got next? We have Neo 3 got announced, and there's actually a demo out now. I'm not like the most diehard Neo person, so I'm sure there's a million things that are different on this. I just think these games look cool as hell, and I'm glad they're.
I'll find out if
continuing
it's
to make
good
them.
when Mackie tells me if it's good or not.
There you go. Yeah,
One day I'll play them again, or
Yeah.
try to. I got pretty far in the first one, and then just kind of got stuck and wasn't liking some system. I don't remember what system it was, and then just never got back to it.
Yeah. So I'm glad they're making more of those games. I think those are super neat. Next game up is, if I can find it, is the Tides of Tomorrow is actually really cool. Sword of the Sea. The bunch of the Journey developers, which you can probably tell from how the entirety of this game looks, is making a game that looks strikingly similar, except this time it's like a larger open world game where you're surfing on a sword and trying to kind of breathe life back into the desert here.
I saw the Day of the Devs version of this, and it looks really cool.
It looks really, really cool. Austin Wintory, the composer behind Journey, is going to be doing the soundtrack here. I think it looks really neat. I really recommend people check out a trailer. I think it seems like it has the feel of Journey, but like a little bit faster and maybe a little bit smoother. So I think that looks really neat. I think this is one to definitely keep an eye on for how cool this looks. That's called Sword of the Sea. We did have a quick trailer for FBC Firebreak, which a reminder that is coming out Game Pass and PS Plus day and date, which is soon, June 17th.
I thought someone said it was this month, and I was like, "Crap! I thought I had more time."
Yeah, no, it's pretty soon, so we'll be talking about that very soon. And then IO Interactive came out and showed off 007 First Light. This is the final name of their Bond game that they've been kind of teasing forever. I think the only thing we saw across all of the press conferences were really just kind of CG cutscenes stuff. Really kind of setting up the mystery and setting up what this Bond looks like. Correct me if I'm wrong, I don't believe we saw any gameplay quite yet.
I didn't see any so far, so...
Okay. Which is fine. I mean, they're still coming out next year. They don't even have a date next year, so... It seems cool. It just looks like Bond. It looks like a Bond thing. So, heard a lot of people complain about, like, I can't believe this thing isn't goofy enough. It's like, we just haven't seen any of it. Like, it's just like a character trailer. So put it away for a little bit. So I think that'll be pretty cool. And then, last but not least, they spent a ton of time talking about this. Marvel Tokon Fighting Souls. Arc System Works is coming out with a Marvel fighting game next year. and by Marvel fighting game, I mean it looks like they're making
Arc Systems work.
Marvel versus Capcom 4 minus the Capcom plus ArcSys.
Yeah.
It looks bananas. I think.
I mean, it's an Arc Sys game, so yes.
Yeah, but I think that's what's really enticing to me is like I'm sort of consistently worried that Arc System Works is gonna have to tone it down for some sort of license at some point, and I'm feeling better because it basically seems like people are coming in and be like, no, we know who we're signing on for this. Like, just go make your thing. It just also happens to have Spider-Man in it.
Let's also face it, that engine is insanely beautiful.
It's really good, and I think this works super well with the characters models that they have for all the Marvel heroes and villains. I think the little tweaks that they've done to all these characters, especially with this really kind of thick cell shaded style that they have, looks so good. I think this is a real standout. I think they've announced 8 characters or so, something like 6 or 8, and I'm sure as the months go on that they'll announce more. So, but yeah, I think that looks super cool. They spent a shocking amount of time talking to the developers behind it, which is, I think, a little bit strange, but it's nice to see them focus more on the developers instead of like, here's a bunch of talking heads from Marvel that didn't really make the game.
Do anything, yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so that's state of play. I thought that was a pretty good state of play overall, personally.
Yeah, some good stuff.
Sony's stuff usually, I think, is fairly positive. I don't think they showed off a ton of smaller games this time like they usually do, but we have other conferences to talk about that stuff here upcoming. All right, let's get into the seeming big guy here, which is the Summer Game Fest, which I always want to call the Summer Games Fest, and that is wrong. That's the Summer Game Fest. Let me scroll down here a little bit so I can click on Code Vein 2. The first big announcement. We're not going to talk about every game in here. You've probably seen a bunch of these games on whatever social media feed you are. We're really going to hit the highlights here, so we're not here for 6 hours talking about a bunch of stuff that Keeley is yapping about on stage. Code Vein's coming out next year. I'm pleasantly surprised they're coming out with another one of these. I know the first one was a really big hit, but it sort of seemed like one of those games that'd be like, it was a really big hit, and they just never made another one.
This was the anime Dark Souls, right?
Yes. Yep.
With a really great character creator.
Yep. Was really hoping they'd make a sequel, but it doesn't look like this one's following the end of the first game, which had a very cool drop at the end.
Oh, okay.
Which is fine, whatever. I'll take more Code Vein as I can get it. But like even the enemies and the way some of these characters work, like everything's completely different from the first game. So I am super excited to check this out. But the one thing that made me think this was Code Vein 2 before they said it was just the fact that the guy creates the giant claws on his hand. I'm like, that's like a finishing blow right there from Code Vein. And then we finally get the title drop. I'm like, all right, sweet. I'm down for whatever this is.
Yeah. So. Yeah, this looks really cool. That first game looked graphically really cool and had a really cool style. I'm very excited to see what they do here with whatever engine they're going to go with. I think, especially with the current consoles, I think this could look really cool.
Yeah. If you've never played Code Vein before, it's always on sale, and it's got a ton of good systems in it. It's a ton of fun. So
yeah, when Nim says on sale, he means like $5, like all the way on sale.
Yeah.
Next game here, End of Abyss is the next one. I think this is a really cool looking kind of top-down action shooter from Section 9. It seems to be a new studio. Kind of like a creepy horror, kind of almost like chibi style top-down shooter, which is not a genre we see a whole lot much anymore.
Yeah.
Which I'm pretty impressed by and kind of surprised by. So,
it reminds me a lot of Little Nightmares.
yeah,
And I actually thought that's what it was, like some sort of offshoot of that. But
right, yeah. So that's End of Abyss. I think that looks really cool. Where's the next thing here? Marvel Cosmic Invasion, Tribute Games, who made Wizorb, Flint Hook, TMNT Shredder's Revenge, Mercenary Kings. They're like they're one of my favorite pixel art studios. They're making a Marvel beat 'em up, and it looks exactly like all the rest of their stuff, which is just here's a really tight, really great playing beat 'em up. So I'm really excited about this. There's honestly not a lot to talk about on this one. I feel like whatever picture you have in your head of a Marvel pixel art beat 'em up, the game looks exactly like that.
yeah, just think of like the old beat 'em ups we had in the 90s. That's exactly what this is.
Yep. So I think that looks really, really, really cool. Excited for that to come out. Felt That Boxing. It's a puppet boxing / training game. As in they're all puppets, like actual puppets, not in the way that Repo is like Muppets. This is live action puppets boxing each other and training to be better fighting Muppets.
Hey, I'm all about this.
This looks incredible. I just like we see more games like this, and like I have problems with a lot of the Keeleys in general, but I do have to say I don't think there's another stage that would show a live action puppet fighting game, and I do have to give a lot of credit for them. It's just like here's something really weird, but I think it's gonna be really cool. So I think that's Felt That Boxing looks really ridiculous and really great, and I cannot wait to play it whenever it comes out, and I hope it will at least be good, if not interesting. So that's Felt That Boxing. What do we have next? Arc Raiders. They finally got a release date of October 30th, which is coming out after the alleged release date for Marathon, so Marathon continues to be in some trouble.
Yeah.
Man, this game looks really cool. I watched a couple of YouTubers and like Nextlander and people checking this out and playing this during the previous beta. And I think this really looks like the extraction shooter to keep an eye on, because I think this looks like a blast. And stylistically, I think it looks really great. So there wasn't really too much gameplay in this trailer because you probably know what an extraction shooter looks like by this point. They all kind of are going to look the same. So I think that looks neat. Arc Raiders, October 30th. What's next? Out of Worlds. Where is this in this list? Boop. Thank you very much to the kind person, by the way, in the SGF. They didn't put chapter markers in here correctly, so someone in the comments put the chapter markers correctly, which I appreciate. Out of Worlds is a claymation co-op adventure game that looks really, really cool. I think if you have watched
Unravel, it's got me the vibe of Unravel, seriously.
Yeah, it looks a lot like Unravel, but like the kind of co-op adventure of something that It Takes Two and Split Fiction and stuff like that. It looks like it doesn't have the split screen, but I think it's that same kind of teamwork co-op sort of thing, but with an incredible looking style. So that I don't recognize the team behind it, Wired Fly, but that's Out of Worlds. That's coming out next year, 2026. So I think that looks really cool. Next up is where is it? Lego Voyagers, the team that made the Lego Builders Journey, is making a two-player co-op Lego adventure game, which I feel like that just kind of writes itself at that point. It looks pretty fun. You're the two kind of like individual studs, and you're exploring and doing puzzles and adventuring, exploring stuff. So people really loved the Lego Journey game, and I have not gotten around to playing it. But I could see this one being a really, really big hit, especially with families. They're looking for more kind of family-friendly stuff to play together. So, and it looks great, just like the previous game. Looks really, really, really solid. So that's Lego Voyagers. A game I've been keeping an eye on for a really long time is in here somewhere. Mina the Hollower. This is Yacht Club Games' new game. They made Shovel Knight. This is their next game coming up on October 31st, Halloween, this year.
Did they just like synonyms? Because I mean, technically, a hollower is a shovel, right?
Yes.
Like shovel hollows the ground.
Yeah, and she does like burrow into the ground, and she has a whole bunch of different weapons. But I think the one they usually show off is like a yo-yo kind of thing at the beginning. This looks great. Still, it is shocking to me that they haven't done anything other, I was going to say after Shovel Knight, but then they spent like the next 10, 15 years supporting it and putting out a whole bunch of DLC, so I don't want to undersell that commitment from them.
And all the collaborations with Shovel Knight. And...
Yeah, you got an indie game, Shovel Knight's going to be in there, baby. Don't you worry about it. Yeah, so that's coming out October 31st, 2025. Scott Pilgrim EX. Shockingly, Tribute has another game in here, and they're making a sequel to their previous Scott Pilgrim side-scrolling beat-em-up game. This looks really good. Brian Lee O'Malley is going to be doing what seems to be an original Scott Pilgrim story for this, which is pretty exciting. And it just, like, in the best way, it looks like a sequel to the previous game. Which was really good, if not, personally, I think way too difficult. And
super grindy, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, they were taking inspirations from something I always forget the name of. But there was definitely like an element of Tribute games kind of not getting out of their own way and making something a little bit too difficult, I think. So we'll see how this one is, but I like seeing Tribute making more stuff. So I'm happy to see them making more things, especially more Scott Pilgrim stuff. I don't think that has a release date. Let's see what it says in 2026. Okay, wish list now. Haha, there you go.
Yeah, I was gonna say I saw the wish list thing and that was it.
Yeah, so that's coming out next. Next year we have Lego Party. Boop. That's coming out here. It's a Lego Mario Party game, which...
Oh, no.
Yeah,
oh,
I think
no.
that's probably, for those of us that are parents, probably, if you want to stop having somebody push the L button and go, wahoo, 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 for the next 3 hours. Please, if anyone's listening, if you want to make this game a real big hit in your house, please don't let people do that. Like, please don't let children push a button and have somebody go, wahoo, wahoo, in the same tone forever. That will make it, that will make it an instant hit. So I think this looks pretty cool. I think if there's anything that is going to be kind of a natural fit for the Mario Party formula, it seems like it's going to be Lego.
Didn't they also recently announce a Sonic Party game too? Like, why is it taking people so long to realize that party games are cool?
Yeah, and like the only other stuff we see, like a lot of the stuff we see on PC is always like, oh, it's a Mario Party, but it's gory. And it's like, I don't want that. Like, I want to be able to
also
play it
I
with
want it
more
on my
people.
consoles, guys.
Right.
Like, I want to sit on my couch.
Yeah, so
but also Mario Party can cause family violence anyway,
That's
so
true.
it doesn't
Mario
need
Party
to be more gory.
yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
Mario Party is the monopoly of video games. Like,
That's
it's
right.
that simple.
It will separate a family very quickly.
Yep. Um, here's a very funny thing that will pay off here pretty shortly, which is, let me see if I can find it here. We'll have to see if we can find it. But there was a quick 30th anniversary thing for Resident Evil, which is like, hey man, it's the 30th anniversary of Resident Evil. Also, there's a new Wu-Tang game, which is really great. It's going to be like, you're going to have to wait a little bit longer for us to talk about the future of Resident Evil. Wink, which is really great.
Was it the show closer?
Yep.
That was the wink is the show closer, but in about the middle of the show, they're like, "Happy 30th anniversary. We're not ready to talk about the next Resident Evil quite yet. I hope you can wait, and we'll talk about it in due time." I was like, great. We were going to talk about lowlights. I wasn't going to originally bring this up, but I feel like it's sort of
bring it to people's attention.
There's two elephants in the room.
For those who don't know.
During SGF. The first one was this kind of glorification of the single developer. There's a line of like, this guy developed it by himself with 9 friends. That's 10 developers, guys. So like that was a problem in and of itself. But then the CEO of the studio that makes Splitgate came out, decided to kind of talk a bunch of yang about a bunch of other games, and share his desire for Titanfall 3, which again is not happening. And then came out on stage wearing a MAGA adjacent hat that said "Make FPS Great Again," which is a real bummer. And we don't. There's a reason why we don't talk about a lot of games that have problematic CEOs or developers. We don't talk about the Wizarding games at all for a lot of reasons. The author of that series runs antithetic to everything that we support and everything we believe in. So we don't talk about anything relating to the books or the games. And if you're thinking about buying the second Wizarding game that was just announced, you shouldn't do that. And you should take that probably $80 and give it to some charitable organization that helps trans youth. Because that will be a much better use than fueling an avenue for one person's vendetta of hate against people that are just trying to live. So we weren't talking about Splitgate to begin with, because it's not really our sort of thing, but we're definitely going to be talking about it going forward, because we're not even going to
even if you're wearing that as a joke, it's not funny.
It's not a joke anymore. Like it's very much like the Wizarding stuff. It's just a symbol and a method of getting hatred out there. And the doubling down that the CEO has done on social media after the backlash has been pretty disappointing too. Just him not really getting the problem. So
I think he gets the problem. He just doesn't care.
And I think he's thinking too that like no press is bad press, but that not in this case. Especially with the 1-2 punch of them like saying they're not going to announce a campaign for Splitgate 2, and they crap talk a bunch of games like Call of Duty, and then they announce a Splitgate Battle Royale. Like, I try to be positive about a lot of the stuff we're talking about on the show. That's like the most reductive thing you can announce on a big stage like this is a Splitgate Battle Royale. Like, get a grip, man. So, normally we wouldn't really talk about that, but want to address and again plant our flag and say that's not cool, and we're not in support of anyone that's trying to keep anybody down, especially during Pride Month. Like, come on, man. So move on to more positive stuff. Stranger Than Heaven, which is going to be the final title of, I can't find this in this list.
It should be second from the bottom.
Thank you. This is the final title of the RGG Studios. It was Project Century before. It was a game that was going to take place in like 1915 or something. They brought that forward. It now takes place in 1943. And this is the kind of like not a Yakuza game. Look, if it's going to be an open world RPG game, you kind of know what it looks like anyways. I think this thing looks sick as hell, and I will happily play it, and I will probably not watch anything else about it at this point and go, yep, that's cool. I'm going to check that out.
Since this was like announced like less than a year ago, how have they made all of these changes in less than a year?
They're incredible, man. Like I admire RGG so much because they have their production and like programming pipelines down to a T. And like I think a lot of that is just incredibly smart reuse of assets. Like people are always like, "Oh, well, of course I'm going back to Yokohama in a Yakuza game." Yeah, you are.
Yeah, that's why you got the next game like less than 8 months after the previous game.
Yeah, like they made that that map. They better use it for a really long time, man. It took them forever to make that map. So like I'm curious to see how much of this game is kind of built on the bones of a lot of the rest of that stuff. Because I'm sure that's why this Stranger Than Heaven is kind of coming out a little bit faster than expected. So.
But also, I really enjoy seeing Yokohama in different time periods.
Oh, for sure.
And they do a really good job, especially when you see it from the 80s, and then you see it in the 90s, and then you see it in the 2000s. You see how everything changes, but then how certain things stay the same. It's the way they do it is just really good.
And like how different characters approach common people in each one of those areas. Like,
yeah.
I love RGG stuff, and I'm excited to see them kind of take a different approach to this and kind of try something new, but still very familiar. And graphically, it looks really good. I think that game looks super cool. And last but not least, kept you waiting, huh? You didn't have to wait for very long. It's Resident Evil Requiem, which is Resident Evil 9, if you watch the kind of like graphical effects that they have at the very end there. It looks... So the thing that I am impressed by, if you're tracking the like Resident Evil 7 and Village to Requiem, it looks significantly different from like a story perspective, and they say it's going to be pretty different from a gameplay perspective. And I like this sort of approach that Capcom is doing of like a new Resident Evil is coming out. It's not going to be like Leon and the gang. I'm sure Leon's going to be in there again, but like it's not like your plan is
Chris is the carry through. Leon hasn't been heard from in decades.
That's
Chris
true.
is the carry through in this trilogy.
Yeah, Chris and all of them coming back and getting the crew together. Like
Ethan? Ethan?
Ethan's technically dead.
Okay.
Spoiler for the last game.
It's like a comic book thing. Is everyone? It's a T virus. Is anyone really dead? So I will never play this game, but I'm really curious to see what they do.
And not until we get that patronage higher, please.
That's
Thank
right.
you.
But like I am really curious to see what they do here, because each one of these games has been so significantly different from the others in a way that I think is really exciting, that I'm very curious to see what they're going to do here.
I am super excited that this seems to be taking place in Raccoon City years after they dropped the nuke on it.
Yep.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
So,
and that's coming out February of next year.
Uh-huh. I have not seen any... keeping the birthday gifts alive for me. Thank you,
There you
Capcom.
go.
I have not seen any footage from this game at all, but like what you're showing here on the stream. And it tickled me because I was like, wait, why is the janitor from Control in here?
That's right. What's Ati doing in there?
Yeah, why is Ati here? It's
Yeah.
like, oh, okay. I guess we're doing a Capcom and Remedy shared universe now. I'm okay with that.
Ati goes where he pleases.
That's right. Yeah. So we talked about barely like a fraction of the games in here. Honestly, anything that Keighley is up on stage for is going to largely be the show that you've seen before. It's going to be a whole bunch of really big games. It's going to be a bunch of famous people on the stage. It's like nice to see Lucy James do a bunch more stuff. She's really great. People bring her on the stage more often. But like a lot of the stuff we skipped over in here is a lot of the stuff you kind of see before. I would rather talk about the puppet fighting boxing game than I want to talk about a new Hitman Elusive Target tie-in to a movie that came out 15 years ago. So,
Yeah.
But all that being said, it was fine. It's the Keighleys. It's the summer
It's just
Keighleys.
super long. Like I'm
Yeah.
glad I didn't watch it live because
Yeah, ditto.
I could start watching something and be like, okay, this doesn't interest me. Skip,
Yep.
skip, 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 and you know.
Yeah, agreed.
But man, they need to figure out how to not make these 4 hours long.
Yes, yes, please. Yeah. Next one here, we have Day of the Devs, the one that I always recommend people watch every year because it has some of the coolest stuff, featuring It's Me, Tim Schafer, from video games. They first game up here is Snap and Grab, which is a really cool sort of 80s featured game where you're a fashion designer slash photographer. It's essentially a Hitman game, but instead of using a sniper rifle, you're using a camera to kind of set up your heists and all the stuff that you're trying to steal. It looks really, really, really cool. And these are the types of games I love these next couple of showcases we're going to talk about of just like, here's a handful of very passionate people that are making a really cool game and trying to take the goofiness and the kind of domino falling systems of something like Hitman and putting their own spin on it and making it really fun. So that's Snap and Grab. I think that game looks really, really, really cool. Next game here, Big Walk by House House. This is the team that made Untitled Goose Game.
I want to play this game.
Yeah, I want to play this game pretty badly. I feel like this is a type of game that you like Lethal Company and Repo. It's a little bit hard to explain by itself, and I think they do a really good job doing it. But they're trying to make a hanging out with your friends adventure chatting thing where it has proximity chat. You can like write on signs. You're hanging out, you're adventuring, you're trying to solve puzzles or not. You're trying to help each other or not. Like, you just kind of walk around the landscape and hang out and chat with your friends if you want, or you can treat it as kind of like a hardcore like planning puzzle sort of thing or not. And I think this looks really, really cool in a way that I think if you have a dedicated crew of people that are happy to just kind of fart around in an area, I think this would be really neat. Like if you
and also very trollish is the problem I'm seeing with this. There is ample opportunities for trolls.
I feel like if you could hang out with your friends in The Witness and solve a bunch of co-op puzzles, I think that would be what this game is. I think this game looks really, really cool. And it's nice to see House announcing their next thing and just being like, okay, yeah, no one else could make this. So that's a pleasant surprise that for their second outing, it's just a very unique title from them again.
I saw a whole bunch of people as well saying big shout out for basically recreating the Australian wilderness in video game form.
Yep. Yeah, it's really cool. I don't know when this is coming out. I have a feeling it's probably next year. But they seemed kind of cagey about when this will be coming out, and I'm assuming it's going to be one of those things that just shows up at some point. Like, okay, Big Walk's out. There you go. So we'll keep an eye on that because I think that looks really cool. Sorry, coming 2026. Bigwalk.game. We talked about Sword of the Sea before. Moon mentioned this before. Actually, the other reason why we're skipping some of these, I meant to mention at the very beginning, the other reason why we're skipping some of these trailers and games in the showcases is because they're being shown multiple times. So we're going to talk about them in one, but not talk about them like in three other ones. But another trailer here for Sword of the Sea. I think that looks really great. A game I am personally really, really excited about. And I had to tell this to Moon. It's the only game I talked to Moon about when we were playing Repo. Escape Academy 2 Back to School. They're making a sequel to one of the best games you haven't played in Escape Academy. And they said that they are directly inspired by Animal Well. So you're going to be able to explore the entirety of the Academy's campus this time and solve puzzles around the entire campus, which, thank you, Baby Yoda. I couldn't think of a game that's more made specifically for me. I'm so excited. Please go play Escape Academy.
I was gonna say, eventually it's gonna turn into The Witness, where you're just plopped on an island, and it's like, all right, figure it out.
Oh my god, hopefully. Yeah, like don't tease me, man. So I really hope that this is, my personal hope is that coming off of the heels of Animal Well and Blueprints and stuff like that, that hopefully there are larger puzzles that sort of span the entire academy that is going to come into play. But please go play Escape Academy. It's really good, and it's really not good. Super long.
I played that game 3-player co-op, 2 people couch co-op, 1 person online, and it was flawless.
Right. It did have that, yeah.
And the best part is it had the Portal 2, you can see what your friend is looking at button, where you can just view their first-person camera perspective.
Oh my god, that's so nice. I want that in like every co-op game of just hold down the left trigger, just show me what you're looking at. It's like, oh, okay, yeah, that's great. Next game up here is Mixtape. A game I maybe don't really understand, and maybe that's on purpose.
Did you play the Artful Escape?
I did not.
Okay, that's probably why this is not clicking.
Oh, okay.
Because the Artful Escape is just a run left to right, jump, listen to some sick music, and experience a story. This feels like it's the exact same thing, except go downhill.
Yeah, a lot of the stuff they're showing off on this, and I think the thing that is really appealing to me is this kind of mixing. They're saying it's not a music game, so it's not a game where you're making music, but it really is a game about mixtapes where you are, they're matching different musical styles, they're matching different gameplay styles, and they're matching different visual styles. So the game is going to kind of change how it looks every once in a while as you're going through and playing it. And there's a shot there where in a part of the trailer where there are multiple art styles kind of interacting at the same time, which I think sounds really cool. It just, from the trailer, focused a lot on, hey, mixtapes are really cool and we're making one in game form. So I'm not entirely sure what that is, but I totally forgot it's the Artful Escape team. As they say, BAFTA award-winning, the Artful Escape. So we'll see what that turns out to be, but it looks cool, at least. Soundtrack killer, too. I mean, that's really great. Next game here I'm super pumped about. Well, not that one. We'll probably talk about that when we roguelike it, which is, what's this game
I was going to say, that the Curse of the Dead Gods guys.
No, this is a
game.
This is Drinkbox Studios, the Guacamelee guys.
Okay.
Yeah, they're making Dosa Diva's One Last Meal. Outer Loop Games, who made Thirsty Suitors. They're making another seemingly similar game. It's like a food-based RPG at the end of the world, coming out early 2026. I really liked Thirsty Suitors, but I think we had kind of come out of it on Game Club thinking like, I kind of want to see what they do next, because not everything came together in that game, and I think Dos Divas is the next attempt from them. I think this looks really cool. And like we talked about with Thirsty Suitors, I like seeing more diverse games coming out about shared experiences, lived history, a lot of food-based games that are coming out, which I think is really, really cool. And having them kind of take a crack at this this RPG system they made before, I think sounds really cool. So that's Dos Divas One Last Meal. It's coming out early 2026. Check on it probably on Game Club next year if I was to guess.
Yep.
Next game is excuse me, Possessors, Heart Machine, who made Hyper Light Drifter and Hyper Light Breaker. They're making a 2D side-scrolling beat 'em up with a really, really cool style. I don't know too much about this in general. I think a lot of this is kind of like setting the stage, kind of style-wise and a little bit gameplay-wise. But I'm really curious about this game. I like a lot of the stuff that they've been making in the past, so I'm curious to see what this comes out to be. I wish there was a little bit more information about kind of what the gameplay is, but I think it looks really cool so far. That's Possessors. Next game here, a game I've been chomping at the bit for a while, Moonlighter 2: The Endless Vault. This trailer was largely focused on all the improvements they're making over the first one. And looks like they're kind of improving every facet of that first game across the board. Which I liked that first game a lot, but I think we played that on We Roguelike It, right? I believe.
I think you guys
yeah,
did.
it's the game responsible for my Gamerscore being an odd number.
Yes, that one. And it looks, I think our feedback on that was kind of like, it's a really good game, but it wasn't the most complex game overall. And I think a lot of what they're doing in this one is trying to add that level of complexity. So it's not just, a fairly threadbare shop sim and then kind of a pretty straightforward hack and slash thing. It looks like everything has been sort of improved from the ground up for this one. So, I think that looks cool. I'm super pumped for Moonlighter 2. Next game here called Please Watch the Artwork. I do have to really give them a lot of credit for coming out and saying this game doesn't have any jump scares or surprises, because it really seems like one of those secret horror games that you'd watch a YouTuber playing. But it's a lot of you're a knight watch guard, and you're watching the paintings get weird at the end of the day and trying to keep an eye on anything that's different or any anomalies or any ways that the paintings are changing day over day. So I think that looks really neat, as kind of a totally different way of approaching and appreciating some of this art. I think that looks pretty cool. So that's Please Watch the Artwork. We have another trailer for Marvel Cosmic Invasion. Talked about that before. Largely just more gameplay from that. They also announced a game here I think looks really cool called Neverway, which, small piece of feedback for Day of the Devs. If you could have the title of the game, not every game has like a splash screen of their title. If you have the title of the game at the top of the screen at some point, that would be really great for people.
Oh, the bottom, like the cards that they do on every single other game show.
Yeah, I really missed that from Day of the Devs, because sometimes it's a little bit hard to tell with varying audio qualities from the developers, a little bit hard to tell what their game is called. So Neverway is a horror RPG and life sim. The pixel artist is the pixel artist from Celeste, and music by Disasterpiece, who did a whole bunch of indie games, most notably Fez. I think this looks really cool. I like the idea of having a life sim that is a little bit kind of darker and grittier, but I don't think that means it's not cozy. I just think that the aesthetic of it looks a little bit darker and kind of monochromatic, which I think looks really neat. So I'm curious to see that when it comes out. I don't think this one has a release window at all. If it doesn't have a release window, I think you can assume 2026 is probably when it's coming out. That's Neverway. Next up, Relooted. I think one of the cooler games that came out of Day of the Devs. This is so I'm just gonna read their sort of press release here. The next game from South African studio Nimacop places players in the role of a thief working with a group who wish to return priceless artifacts to their cultures of origin by stealing them from the museums that hold them. Scope out the museum, plan an escape route, and carry out the heist. So this seems a lot like kind of a Payday kind of Monaco thing of like, you're going to case the joint, you're going to plan the thing, you're going to set up your route, and then you're going to go liberate an artifact and then bring it back to the country of origin and try to have the kind of the heist, the extraction go as well as possible. And I think it looks super cool. And I like that the developers too were like, hey man, a bunch of countries stole our stuff in real life. How cool would it be if we could take it back? I'm like, heck yeah, man.
Yep.
That's sick as hell. So it's really cool. That's Relooted, all one word. Next game here is Ratatan. This is the Patapon spiritual successor, which looks exactly like Patapon. And it's really seems to be pretty much the entire team from the Patapon games as well. I think if you have seen Patapon before, it looks exactly like that in a way that I think is really fun. So that's coming out, I think, this year, I believe. Next up, this is a really weird announcement. Warren Spector came on stream to talk about his studio making a multiplayer stealth immersive sim game, which sounds wild. I mean, if I initially was hoping like, man, is it like the Assassin's Creed Brotherhood multiplayer mode that no one played and was really good? Sadly, it doesn't seem like that.
It seems more like the other Assassin's Creed, the one in France, the original Xbox One one.
Yeah, Syndicate? No.
Nope.
The one
The other
after
one.
that.
Yep. The one that nobody played.
Not Rogue.
But had multiplayer.
Yeah.
Nope.
Crap. I don't remember what that one was called. It's the one. It's like the only one I didn't play. But yeah, this one is interesting. They showed a bunch of pre-alpha footage. The studio is called Other Side Entertainment. I don't know what to think about this one yet. It sounds like an interesting idea on the surface, but
Unity.
Assassin's Creed Unity. Thank you. So we'll see where this one goes, but I'm not entirely sure what is really going on there. Next game up, game called Tire Boy. No, sorry, game called Consume Me first. Quote, being a teenager sucks, so we made a video game about it. This reminds me a lot of those like games where like you need to upgrade your stats, but you only have so many things you can do in a day. So like try to maximize your stats as well as you can. I think this looks really cool. I think this has a really fun art style. I will probably check this out when it comes out because I think this looks like a blast. That's called Consume Me. Next up is a game called Tire Boy, which turns out to be a game where you're a dude, half man, half tire. It's rolling around an open world environment. You're a tire boy, and you're kind of solving puzzles. I love Day of the Devs for being the only place that would really show a ridiculous game like this. And I'm very curious to see what this is going to turn out to be. I think that looks really cool. Tome 2, showing off a bunch of that. Looks like it's a direct sequel to the first one. Now it's in 3D. So I think if you liked that first one, Not to be reductive, but I think it looks like more of the same of that in kind of a positive way. And then I would love to show the trailer for Unbeatable, but as the trailer said at the beginning, it's like a trailer / music video. Intensive flashing lights, no, seriously. So I'm not going to show. I'm not going to show that because it's pretty intense overall. But that showcase, along with these next 2 ones, I really think you guys should go watch because there's a lot of really great stuff in there. Okay, 3 more. We got a couple of quick ones here, real quick. Wholesome Games Direct, which I think, again, you should go watch this. Instance, which is a really interesting kind of photo album sorting game. You're kind of organizing everything chronologically in a photo album to try and build the story behind all of the people that are in this photo album. I think this looks really cool. So maybe we'll check this out on Game Club too. Is This Seat Taken? Is the next game. I thought this was going to come out pretty soon.
I'm sitting in it.
Yeah. This is a really cool puzzle game where you're trying to orient everything. Okay, sorry, it's coming out in August. You're trying to orient everything on a quick map, and everybody has their own likes and dislikes. People don't like and dislike people around them. And it's this kind of fun, very bright, cute puzzle game trying to place everything in its right spot. So I think that looks really cool. Go watch the trailer for that. Make Room is a really, really cute looking game about kind of building tiny houses and building spaces around them. It looks like a very kind of calming, relaxing game where you can just kind of design a cool place for people that have specific desires of what they want their space to be. I think that looks neat. Let's Build a Dungeon, which is a single-player MMO, but you're the game / world designer. So you're kind of building the world and the environments and the gameplay and stuff like that, but you're also kind of like building the back end of the game at the same time too. It looks really wild in a way that I think looks really, really neat. I would really recommend checking out a trailer for this because it looks really neat. They're calling it a game dev simulator, so I think it looks really cool. Squeakross, which has a Home Squeak Home is its subtitle. It's a nonogram game, so it's like a Picross, but every time you finish a board, you craft a piece of furniture or design or something for the room and the house that your rat is living in. It's really cool. It looks like a really great puzzle game. They have like hundreds of nonogram puzzles in there too. It looks super cute. It looks like it's a really great game as well. And it's out now. It's out today, which is really exciting. PC and Switch only for the moment, if I understand correctly. So hopefully it comes out on other stuff. Big Hops. It's a game that I have seen on social media recently because their publisher dropped them sort of out of nowhere recently. It's a very cool looking kind of 3D kind of open world platforming thing that looks like it's focused a lot on fast movement and kind of whipping yourself all over the place. So I think that looks really, really cool. Little Kitty Big City is getting a big update here that's out soon, where you can design your own cat. So you can put your cat in the game as the cat, which is great.
That was the only real complaint about that game.
Exactly.
Yep.
Yeah. So you can play that out. It says it's a free patch that's going to be coming out this summer. One of my games of the show that I think looks really cool is Vending Dokkan, Cozy Kiosk. You run a vending machine business and you're kind of taking care of and maintaining and stocking your vending machines, and then you have your vending machines sort of sit like on the side of a road or an alley or something, and then you kind of manage them as they need more stock and they need a little bit of love and stuff. I think
So, theme vending is what I'm getting from this?
very much, yeah, like sim vending for someone that's maybe a little bit older. I think the thing that's really cool is it's kind of embracing this kind of bottom or side of the screen gaming thing where you can minimize it to kind of a small window and it can keep running as you're doing other stuff. I think that looks really cool. It's called Vending Dokkan. It's in early access now. I want to check that out because I think that looks really neat. Next game here is, I can't read this stuff, Everdeep Aurora. Where is this? We're repeating some games. Here we go. Everdeep Aurora. It's a pixel art platformer featuring a cat. Oh god, what was that game up here called? Neverway. It has sort of a fun kind of monochromatic style to its different areas. I think this game looks incredibly cool. So I'm hoping to see more gameplay of this as we go on. One Move Away is a game we talked about recently, where this is a kind of a reverse unpacking, where you're packing everything from a place into a moving thing, and you're kind of trying to Tetris everything into like a moving van or the back of a truck or a flatbed or something like that. And so it's like a 3D reverse unpacking, which I think is really, really cool. And it's nice to see this game is shaping up pretty nicely. That is One Move Away. And the last one here is Disc County. It's a game I've been keeping an eye on. It's like a cool 2D top-down life sim sort of shop running sort of game. So I think that looks really neat. We skipped over, I don't know, the best and worst part of the Wholesome Games Direct. They have them a couple times a year. Is they're just chock full of incredible looking games, and we didn't even talk about half of them here. So please go watch the showcase. It was only an hour long, less than an hour long, and it's just one cool looking game after another. All right, that is Wholesome Games Direct. We only have two more left here. We're going to really quickly go over the Future Games Show, which is that happened today, I think. Echoes of the End is the very world premiere. It's a really cool looking third-person action game. Like, what if God of War had like a cool looking black woman as the lead, and you're doing a bunch of cool hack and slash stuff. And it looks like a very like Unreal Engine 5 kind of cool showpiece game. So
yeah, I got a lot of God of War vibes, the newer ones from this game too. I was like, oh, that seems interesting.
Yeah, it looks really cool. I think stylistically it looks really neat. That's called Echoes of the End. Showed a cool game called Herdling, which is a herding game. You have a whole bunch of strange mythical animals that you need to herd from point A to point B and get them around obstacles and over hills and valleys and stuff. This looks like a really cool kind of presumably chill kind of herding puzzle thing. I think that looks neat. Herdling, which is pretty cool looking. Excuse me. Sneeze there.
Bless you.
Thank you. The Explorator, which is whoever put the chapter markers in here, missed a couple, which is a bummer. Which is a cool kind of like cartoonish looking FPS, and not in the way that like Mouser PI game is. Has a really neat looking kind of like heavy cell shaded art style. So I thought that looked really neat. Constance, which is like a
Teen.
Metroid. Go ahead.
Constance Teen.
There
When
you
are we
go.
going to get that game?
Yeah. It's a cool looking Metroidvania where you have, I'm not sure if it's a paintbrush or a broom. I think it's a paintbrush. Really, really cool looking art style, where you're doing a lot of kind of movement tech and a lot of jumping and bouncing and slashing. So I think that looks really neat. A lot of cool looking Metroidvanias this time. Call of the Elder Gods, which is a sequel to Call to the Sea, which was the puzzle game, that like Lovecraftian puzzle game we got quite a while ago. And then I'm going to see if I can find it. Last but not least here was Under Par Golf Architect, where it just looks like sim golf. So that game from, I don't know, years ago, I thought that looked really cool. World premiere. Anyways, there was a ton of stuff that looked pretty neat in Future Games Show, but a lot of it was stuff we'd seen in other showcases. And this episode is running long, and we still haven't gotten to the last one. So you should go watch that too. I think it's less cool as past years, but I think it's still a pretty cool showcase. All right, the Xbox Games Showcase happened today here. So if we don't have all the information here, I apologize, because this one's coming in a little hot. First off, want to mention that unless we specifically say it, all of these games are coming out Game Pass day and date. They're really selling Xbox Anywhere. They're really selling cross-save and all that stuff. Unless we mention it, just assume all of that stuff is true. They start off with Outer Worlds 2. That's coming out October 29th on all platforms. It is an $80 game. We found out just here before this episode went live, which sucks.
Yep.
And that's a real bummer.
It sucks, but also it is what it is at this point.
Yeah, just $80 is a lot to swallow for the base level of a game.
Yeah, just don't buy it day one then, or any game really. Wait for it to go on sale.
Yeah, exactly.
Yep.
So a lot of this looks like the extension of the first one. It looks largely like what they would do for a sequel to that. So I feel like you kind of already know, for better or for worse, you kind of know what this game already is, and it looks good. Like, I like Obsidian stuff.
Did they say it was going to be the same length as the first one, or are they making it like a full-blown
I
open
haven't
world?
really heard, because a lot of the stuff that I'm sort of frustrated with this game specifically is like, I appreciate that the humor is a central point of these games. I do need you to drop it for a minute and tell me what this game is going to be, though. They did have a Obsidian Direct after this that I haven't watched. I'm sure some of that information came out there, so we'll see. I'm not entirely sure. All right, what do we have next here? Resonance, A Plague Tale Legacy was announced. I don't know what this is.
That the rat game,
Plague Tale
isn't it?
game.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
I can't tell from the trailer. Is it a sequel? Is it a spin-off? Is this a DLC? Is this? I'm not entirely sure. So I'm glad.
From what I understand, it's a full new game.
Okay.
I just don't know where it's set.
Okay. Yeah. So cool. I'm glad they're still making more of those. Nice to see that they're continuing to make some additional games in that series. Next up, Microsoft announced the kind of final version of the Asus ROG Xbox Ally and the ROG Xbox Ally X, which is the Xbox branded handheld, which there've been rumors for a while. Microsoft's been talking about it for a while. It's largely just, Microsoft here says this is an Xbox, quote unquote. They're really trying to sell this as, sure, it has the ROG branding on it, but it really is a handheld Xbox, and it really is a handheld thing that's going to play your Game Pass stuff. It's the thing that's going to play Silksong, which got all of
it's the Steam Deck.
10 seconds. Essentially, yeah. I think they are going out of their way to specifically say, like, it's not running the Steam OS. It is really running like a version of Windows. So it's not like Steam where it's like, oh, this only runs on Windows, so you can't play it. They're kind of going out of their way to say, like, it's on PC hardware, it's running all that stuff. It's running an Xbox and Windows OS. It has an Xbox button. It has a very similar kind of storefront to all the other stuff. So,
but what I understand as well from people who would know, Asus have been doing banger of a good job with regards to the handheld gaming.
Yes.
Like Steam Deck competitors.
My only concern, though, is their handhelds have been very powerful, but they've been very expensive. So I'm pretty concerned about what the final cost of that is going to be. It's coming out holiday 2025, so still a ways off. But I think that's my only concern of, like, it looks cool. It will probably be powerful enough. It seems like a neat thing. It's just that price seems... it's a concern.
Yeah. I was going to say, it especially says it's going direct competition with the Steam handheld. So it's like you can't price too high, considering that the deck is only like 500. I think the highest tier is 600 now, but
it's like 500-600, and the ROG Ally is usually around the $800 price point, which is very expensive,
insane.
So, yeah, we'll see. I'm not entirely sure, but I everything other than the price, I think, looks really cool. So next game they showed off here is, where is it? Super Meat Boy 3D, which is a Meat Boy game that's in 3D. The thing that seems interesting is I'm having a hard time telling, but it doesn't seem like... Obviously, the Team Meat didn't make this game because they haven't been a development studio for a considerable
Edmund
amount
is
of time.
pretty much out at this point, right?
Yeah. But the studio that made the second game, which was the kind of auto runner, it doesn't seem like they're making this one. So I'm not entirely sure what the hell's going on with Meat Boy in general. So I would say keep an eye on that, and maybe, just like the auto runner that was pretty good, maybe keep an open mind with this one.
Check reviews.
Yeah. They put out a longish trailer for Ninja Gaiden 4, which looks like a Ninja Gaiden game. I don't want to be reductive about it, but it looks like it kind of nails all the stuff you want to do. You're hacking and slashing, you're pile driving, you're doing like...
I mean, I just saw it in a drop, so yeah, I'm down.
Yeah, like it kind of looks exactly how you would want this game to look. So I'm not entirely sure what they could show off that would be like, wow, that's an incredible difference from before, but I don't think I would want anything different. I just want this to be kind of a good one. The last couple have been rough.
The only thing I want is an individual game for every single other character in the Dead or Alive franchise. Like, give me the wrestling game from, like, the girl and her dad. Like, give me the wrestling game. Give me all the other games for those characters.
Yeah.
Or have them all show up in Ninja Gaiden.
Yeah, there you go.
No, I want them all to have their own games.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. Next game here, we have Beast of Reincarnation, which is a Game Freak is making a third-person action game. that looks. I don't. Someone's probably going to come out and be like, "It's Princess Mononoke." It's really not. But I'm sure it shares the same themes. Looks pretty interesting. Looks like it's kind of a character action thing. Looks like it's kind of a like nature versus tech sort of thing later in the trailer. It's like it's year 4000 something and humanity's waiting for its inevitable extinction. It's like, oh boy. All right, way to bring the room down, Game Freak. Jeez. So I don't know too much about this. Also, I'm gonna be unkind for a minute. Game Freak, lock down the frame rate stuff, please. Like, the Pokemon games are rough enough. Like you gotta get the frame rate locked down for a trailer, man. Like you gotta solve this stuff. Next trailer here, the one that is got way more time than I was expecting it to, and also I didn't catch this. This is In Exile's next game, Clockwork Revolution. This is a very British, very stylized first-person shooter with a whole bunch of kind of character building, heist-related stuff, and then halfway through the trailer, they're like, "Oh yeah, also I can control time with my watch hand thing," and shows a ton of like rewinding time and like shooting a dude with a bunch of bullets and then rewinding time and taking those bullets back, and
Apparently
rebuilding.
Blinks has become a human now.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, he's very British this time. I think this looks really cool, and it's interesting to see a game that seems to have a bunch of mechanics in it at the same time instead of just like, oh, it's a standard first-person shooter, but we can control time. Oh wow, yay! So I think this looks really neat. I'm really curious to see more. It's also really interesting to see In Exile, who typically make kind of hardcore CRPGs, making a very actiony first-person shooter. So I'm really curious to see what they're going to make when they're kind of out of their wheelhouse. So it's a very long trailer for a game that looks really cool. Clockwork Revolution. They then came on stage. Matt Booty was like, "Hey man, also by the way, don't worry about the Outer Worlds 2. Also, Obsidian's working on something else at the same time too. This dude just making 3 games at the same time. They're making Grounded 2. This summer, it's out in what do they call it? Game preview? Their early access thing? It's game preview?
Yeah, it's game preview.
Yeah, July 29th in game preview. So
I really should finish up Grounded 1, right? Get the last like 2 achievements I'm missing on that thing.
yeah, by the time you do that, then this might be in 1.0.
No, it won't. It's a Grounded 1 like 2 years to get to 1.0.
It's true. Yeah, but in this one you can ride ants. It's pretty cool.
And yeah, dude, and wait until the heartbreaking moment when it gets killed by a scorpion. Honey, I
right.
Shrunk the Kids. I've never forgiven you for that moment.
Never
and then
forgive
you just
them.
take over the scorpion.
That's right. That's right.
This isn't Ark Survival Evolved, dude. This is Grounded.
You
God.
don't know.
That's right. So yeah, that's coming out July 29th. It's Grounded too. Like it looks like it's largely the first game, just much bigger with a lot more stuff in it. So that's pretty exciting. Also, Obsidian, slow down. 3 games is enough.
Aren't they making Fable as well?
No, that's the Forza
that's
team.
the Forza team.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Shockingly, that's the Forza team. Oh God. Next game up here, Chronos: The New Dawn. This is the new Bloober team game. I just wrote third-person shooter, looks gross. So Bloober's making a gross-looking third-person shooter. So
It's a Bloober game. Of course, it looks gross.
yeah, it looks like meaty and wet. I don't want that in my life. So good on you, Bloober.
Don't use that phrase, please.
Yep, you got it. No show titles this week. and go crazy. Next title here is Aphelion, from Don't Nod. Hold on. There's the bog standard ESO trailer using a licensed song that take that streamers. Aphelion is Don't Nod's new game, which also pump the brakes, Don't Nod. It's an icy planet platforming adventure game thing, like a third-person adventure action thing. You crash land on an icy planet. Wild to have them try so many different things. I think it looks really neat. Again, I'll try something new that Don't Nod is making. They're also working with a European Space Foundation, European Space Agency for their 50th anniversary.
CISA?
Yeah, that's coming out next year. At Fate's End is definitely one of my games of the show. Oh man, I accidentally skipped. Okay, I skipped one. Sorry, I don't want to skip this one because this one looks incredible. It's called There Are No Ghosts at the Grand. You should go watch this trailer because it starts off with this cool, like, oh, you're moving back in your dad's old town. Oh, we're gonna remodel it. Oh, it's super cozy. Here's a ghost gun. Get to business. And then you're rebuilding this entire town, and then oh wait, there's a bunch of secret supernatural business going on in the background, and you're hiding some sort of big supernatural mystery from the town. This looks incredible. Watching them open up a portal between worlds in the trailer, and then your very nice, like, Scottish voiced gun starts doing ghost business. This game looks sick as hell, man. I'm very happy I watched this showcase just for cool games like this. Also it's a musical. I forgot to mention that as well. So,
why not? I guess
this game's cool as hell. It's called There Are No Ghosts at the Grand. So you should go watch the trailer for this. It looks really wild. I absolutely cannot wait to play this and figure out exactly what the hell this is going to be. So check that. When does this say coming out? Next year. Okay. Let's skip by a bunch of trailers here. Blah 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 blah. Bunch of cool stuff coming out. Yada yada yada. YouTube buffering, super great. Planet of Lana 2 coming out. Fallout 76 says it's Gone Fission event, which is really great. Their fishing thing.
Just the only thing it was missing was a fishing game.
Yep. I don't understand solo leveling, so that's not for me. Super cute monster game, yada yada. I'm waiting till we get to the this next game called At Fate's End. Tony Hawk is on screen here, putting a whole bunch of stuff. Doomslayer's in Tony Hawk 3 and 4, by the by, because why not?
I mean, if you can go to Bikini Bottom, why shouldn't you be able to go to hell?
Yeah, exactly. All right, here we go. At Fate's End, the brand new game from the Spiritfarer team, coming out next year. This game looks incredible.
Oh, I don't want to cry again.
I don't know if it's going to be that. I mean, it'll probably be that, but this
What's
game...
the name of the game again, Boston? Sorry?
At Fate's End. Everything.
Don't think you're going to cry? Mm-hmm.
No, fate ends in the happy places of in every story, right? Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Just take Spiritfarer, for example.
Yeah, totally a happy ending. One happy ending after another. This game looks incredible. It is a 2D, it's kind of like 1v1 hack and slash battling thing, but you're also playing cards at the same time in the battle to do some sort of special effects. And stylistically, this looks amazing. God, this team is so good. I can't wait to play whatever this is going to be day one, based on style alone, and inevitably getting your heart ripped out. Look, she parries like a 20-story god's like sword strike. God, this game looks so cool. At Fate's End, coming out next year, coming out to everything. Spiritfarer team. Easily the shortest trailer that came out this time is Persona 4 Revival. It's coming. Voice actors can shut up about it. Since everybody from the original game is like, hey man, I'm not part of the remake. And Atlas is like, what we're not, huh? Who's making? That's not us.
I can't believe the amount of people that got mad at the voice actors and like, you guys keep asking them if they're in it, and they don't have to follow an NDA.
Yeah,
because
they're not in the game.
Weren't in it. Yeah,
yeah. Like what do you want them to do? So they showed a hot, probably about 5 seconds of gameplay, just to say like, yeah, man, we're working on it. As if you had any doubt, we're making this thing. No even hint of a release window. So don't get excited for this one at all. And I think this is Studio Zero.
I don't get excited for anything, so I'm fine.
There you go. I don't remember which Atlas studio this is. It's P Studio, so it's the Persona team. So that's coming out at some point. Game Pass day and date. Sea of Thieves has season 17 going on. Sheesh. Invincible. I got really excited for this. Coming out with an Invincible game. Looks really great. Looks really bloody. It has a bunch of the voice actors, and it's a fighting game.
It's not the superhero game. The other one that I'm still can't remember the name of, or can't even remember if it's come out yet.
You think of the one where you dispatch the heroes? Or
yeah, it's called Dispatch.
Yes, that one.
Yeah, that game looks incredibly cool. I want to play that one very badly. No, I'm pretty bummed about this. I think you could do some really cool stuff with Invincible, and then you just turned it into a tag fighting game.
The easy choice?
Yeah, I think that's a real bummer, man. Again, but this isn't really the genre that I gravitate towards, so like I'm definitely not the target market, but like you could do something a little bit cooler with that, I think. The wait is almost over. Final Fantasy VII Remake Intergrade is coming to the series consoles this winter, with no mention of the second game in sight. And then also coming to Xbox, Final Fantasy 16 available today. So get that right now.
16's pretty awesome.
Yeah. So nice
Which
to
one
see
is 16?
the most recent one with Ben Starr.
16's the one that you play as. It has the summoner fights as the main fights, which were kind of meh. I think they could have done a lot more with that. But I mean, it was a pretty fun game to play.
Yeah. Out now. Okay, Double Fine's new game. Double Fine has announced the most Double Fine game that they possibly could. It's a game called Keeper. You are playing as a lighthouse with legs that has a bird friend on top of it. And you're off on a big adventure. I think this looks incredible. It looks like, again, the most Double Fine thing you possibly could make. I'm already in love with this lighthouse. I think it's super cute. And watching the little bird friend flap its wings to carry the lighthouse over gaps and stuff looks really great. So, Double Fine, keep on doing whatever it is you're doing. Thank you for making fully ridiculous, incredible, wonderful games.
Yeah, the drugs must be strong in that studio,
because
this reminds me of like 70s ideas of like, yeah, just give them a glowing sword that cuts through anything, or let's have a flying dog.
And I think part of what makes me so excited for Keeper is it looks so much like what you could envision the concept art looking like. Like, it doesn't look that far removed from what the concept art probably is. And I think that's super cool. So that's Keeper, coming out October 17th this year. And last but not least, their one last thing. They show off a trailer that I was super pumped about. And it turns out it's Call of Duty Black Ops 7. Which...
I mean, yeah.
Yeah. Which is a bit of a bummer as like a one last thing. They didn't show off Gears of War E-Day, which I thought was going to be their one last thing. Or
it's
like
a bummer
Fable.
for you and me and him. It's not a bummer for the 16 bajillion people who love the Call of Duty franchise.
But
I'm not gonna lie, the campaign for the last Call of Duty game was pretty good. I still haven't finished it yet, and it doesn't help that I moved the Xbox out of this room. But like, it was going in some interesting places, and I could not say that for any previous Call of Duty game that's been released. So
I think the thing that is exciting is I think stylistically, this game looks incredible. They really have nailed down that kind of like interesting future tech thing that I think Black Ops does really well, where it's almost cyberpunk, like it's right up against that edge, but never really gets there. And I think this looks really, it looks really stylish. It looks really, really interesting. I'm not inherently gonna like throw out the whole thing just because it's a Call of Duty game. Those haven't been my jam, but maybe this will be the one I pick up because it's incredibly cool. It features the dude from Heroes. But I don't know. This looks really neat. There's not a ton of gameplay.
Yeah, if
they don't really need to.
Say, if you didn't say at the beginning that this was a Call of Duty game, so far nothing in this trailer has made it seem like
so far it looks like a Remedy game.
Exactly.
Like it looks
there's
like
a lot of like world bending and like walking through one door, coming out upside down through the other side, kind of weird stuff. And
I'm waiting for Iceman to show back up and be like, "I'm back in time." But like, I think part of the whiplash of that is like, it's a bummer that it isn't a Remedy game because this looks like something they would do. And there's a lot of really cool. There's a bunch of shots in here with just like giant, like 50-foot tall swords that are stuck in the ground. I'm like, I want to see whatever the hell that is, man. What are you doing? That's cool as hell. So I don't know. Black Ops 7, I think, looks interesting from like a future warfare, like near future thing that is always like a little bit uncomfortable personally. That I think they're leaning into as more time goes on. But I don't think there's a date for that yet. I'm assuming that's coming this year if they're showing it. But that was their kind of big closer thing. Oh, you're muted, Nib.
Sorry, I think they're still on their big whole yearly release thing, which sucks because I'm not buying a Call of Duty game every year.
Yeah. But that was the Xbox showcase. And that was all the showcases, kind of all the big showcases that happened this week. We did it in under 2 hours. Can you believe it, guys? We did it.
Yep.
I thought a lot of the showcases were actually pretty good this year. I think there was a nice mix, especially in SGF, of a lot of the kind of smaller games. I think the stuff that Keely and his team has been doing, showcasing a lot of indie games and small games on the big stage, is really good. And I'd like to keep seeing them do that, but I'd also like to keep seeing, Sony and the Xbox teams kind of showcase more of that stuff ongoing too.
Yeah.
Like try and elevate smaller teams in this sort of stuff. So
I'm glad that they managed to somehow get it almost all on 1 week.
Mm-hmm.
That way, you're not having to watch 50 different shows.
Yeah.
Throughout. Now it was a lot. It was still a lot, but
especially Keely, like you can cut that in half. Like have Kojima call in on Zoom. Spend like less than 20 minutes with Kojima. I know you guys are besties, but like you don't have to talk all the time.
I wish they would just edit that a little bit. Like, I'm fine with having people up on stage and talking with them, but like, do all of your game releases first, and then have like the interviews and stuff with people. Because like, I'm interested in some of that, but like, we just watched 2 game releases, and I know we have 50 more to go, and we're spending 20 minutes talking to Kojima,
Yeah.
who I love and would listen to talk all day.
Yeah.
But
Well, and I like, that's why I like Day of the Devs a lot more. Like, I like that the Double Fine gives the developers themselves a chance to showcase their games themselves. Like, I'm going to turn this over to the team that made it. They intro it, they narrate it, they're showing off the gameplay. I really wish there was a little bit more of that in SGF, of like, we're the 5 people that's making the puppet fighting game. Here's our game.
yeah,
Here's our ridiculousness. Like, I'd like to see a little bit more of that. Like, I know that's kind of antithetical to what Keighley is trying to do as the questionable kind of face of video games in general, but I think we'd be in a better spot if we kind of pulled back on that stuff and started showing. It would help us. It would help the industry. They're kind of in a precarious position right now of the like gaming auteur and the like, this one person made this game and it's the biggest game on the planet, or the Expedition 33 thing of like 30 people made this game and it's the best RPG of ever. 30 people didn't make that game. Hundreds of people made that game. Like, and the Expedition team has been out there saying like, no, 30 of us didn't. Go look at the credits. We credited everybody. So like, I think that getting more of the developers, like on Day of the Devs, out in front of their own games, I think will really help a lot of that in general. And I'd like to see more of that happen. So, but yeah, otherwise, I thought that, any final thoughts here for not E3 2025?
I will watch some of this stuff eventually.
Yeah. And play some
No,
of it,
just-
hopefully.
yeah.
That's never gonna
Bunch of-
happen.
Well, as I say, there's a bunch of stuff coming out,
Mm-hmm.
unfortunately, because I don't have time or the money for all of these.
No, yeah.
Yeah.
Especially if they're not going to be $80 a pop.
Mm-hmm. But
grumble.
super excited that Mortal Shell 2 was announced. Super
Yep.
excited that Code Vein 2 was announced.
Yep.
Like, there's just a bunch of cool stuff that I want to check out. But yeah, it's becoming a very expensive hobby
Yeah. If
very
only
quickly.
the price of games too wasn't going up, which sucks.
Yeah.
All right.
It's about time we got games 2. We've been dealing with games 1 for long enough.
That's right. That's right. God, we don't need a sequel. That's for sure. All right. Thank you very much, everyone, for listening. We're going to get out of here before my voice gives out completely. TVGP.tv, everywhere to find and follow us and find us and follow us and find us, is over there on the right-hand side of the page. Come join everything, rate, comment, like, subscribe, all of that stuff. Thank you very much, everyone, for listening. We'll see you all next week. Bye.
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 And we already have our title for this week, so we don't need to discuss that. So
Says you.
yeah. Not E3 2025, which, by the way, like,
This
We're
isn't
gonna-
a democracy.
if
dude.
we're gonna
Come on,
have
you know that.
all of this stuff happen the same week, we need some better name for it, and not Summer Game Fest. We can't have Keighley.
Some game fest.
Yeah, there you go.
Summer game announcements.
Yeah, more like Bummer Game. Got him. Anyways, thank you so much, everyone, for listening and watching.